Welcome. Welcome to the Belief Buffet, a weekly opportunity for me to share the thoughts going through my head, the lessons, the wisdom or curiosity or confusion as one man's journey through this wild life. Hopefully anchored in gratitude, anchored in connection, anchored in humility. That's my goal. My name is John Halcyon, and this is Hug Nation. Today I have a lot on my mind. I want to talk about what happened at the Oscars last night, and also what's happening in the world. But I'll start with the Oscars. So clearly you have probably seen in what has assaulted social media more than anything I can remember, that there was a physical altercation. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And so let me preface this by saying that I am responding to this for a few reasons. One, I just finished his autobiography, Will. I've been recommending it to people. I thought it'd be an incredible story, a self-help book, an autobiography, a story of his journey, and from, struggling youth to the biggest celebrity in the world, and then his personal journey through his demons, and even going through sharing his experiences with marriage difficulties, massive trauma work, and his medicine journey with ayahuasca. And so it is with that context of what I gained from that and what I learned about him that I feel I have grounding to speak my mind. And I'll say, I am not speaking, and I recognize I am coming from a place of privilege. I have no idea what it's like to have to grow up as a person of color. I have no idea what it's like to have to grin and bear it as you've experienced disrespect historically for generations. I cannot speak to that. I have no idea what the black woman experiences with hair. I did watch the Chris Rock documentary about it, but I have no idea. But I don't think that means that I cannot comment on the actions of the largest celebrity in the world, the one who has stepped into his role model-ness. The book is very clear about his growth and how he's overcome his violent background and how he is willingly taken on this place of role model. And so when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking to Will Smith, the human being, because human beings are flawed. We make mistakes. Will Smith, the human being, is absolutely forgivable. Will Smith didn't do anything that I wouldn't have possibly done, or anyone could have possibly done. I've never struck someone in anger. I have hit a wall. I've broken a door. I've slammed things. I have had behavior that I'm ashamed about as I felt myself triggered and lost control. But the journey of personal growth is one where you try to acknowledge that those triggers are not your highest self. And so my commenting about his behavior last night is highlighting that that was not the behavior that he self-described as his highest self. And so it is the hypocrisy that of his persona and role model that he has willingly taken upon himself, the hypocrisy with what I believe to be, an act of violence. People arguing he didn't get punched, he got slapped. You could also argue that it was a stunt and it was fake, to which I would say, does it really matter? Either way, whether it's a slap or a punch or a fake punch, the consequences of demonstrating this is an acceptable response are catastrophic. I'm so frustrated with the dialogue that's happening and the divisiveness and the number of people that feel like, hey, that's what happens. Fuck around and find out. I'm glad that he stood up for himself. I'm glad that, we shouldn't allow for bullying. And I've so much distress about the message. If we're to justify behavior and say, hey, any individual can make the decision that someone else has crossed the line and therefore we can respond with violence. What does that mean to someone who is at a soccer game and they feel like the other team's coach is out of line or a referee is out of line? Can we punch the referees now? Can we, if we think a protest is out of line and we think people who are demonstrating against masks and we think it's out of line to be so dangerous, can we run our car into a crowd of people? We decide someone has crossed the line, and we decide individually when violence is an acceptable answer. Can we decide that a politician should be shot or a country should be invaded? So I'm scared. I'm frightened by the consequences of this role modeling behavior. I can only imagine that the next time I'm in a public place and I have a potential altercation with someone who starts to lose their temper, more than ever before, I will leave, run away, because now I know that much of our culture believes if you get triggered and you think someone else has crossed the line, you can punch the other person. Fuck around and find out. I mean, his son posted the next day, he tweeted, "That's how we do it," or something like that. So I know that there's a lot of people who feel like, well, because of the context and Chris Rock knowing what he was doing or being warned, that he got what was coming to him. And again, I feel like anytime we think that a nonviolent behavior is justifiably addressed with a violent behavior, we have allowed something beyond juries, beyond tribunals, beyond these systems we have in place to make those decisions. We're going to say that individuals can make that, and that is dangerous, especially when an individual can make that decision while they're in a triggered state. We know that we don't act as our highest self in those triggered states. So is his actions forgivable as a human? Absolutely. My heart goes out to the suffering that this human being must have been going through. And yet, I grieve for the consequences to our culture. So, all that being said, so I posted something this morning about it, and there's been an active conversation. I realize a lot of people never read what I wrote. They just see that this is a topic of the day, and so they wanted to post what they feel about it. They didn't read what I said. They didn't read what I believe to be not a condemnation of a human being, but a condemnation of the actions and hypocrisy of a role model and self-help author. I would hope that I would be called out if I lost my cool and slammed my car into something or punched someone or hit my girlfriend. I hope that people wouldn't say, he's normally such a good guy and he was so pissed off and, she had it coming, he had it coming. So while I'm trying to listen to other perspectives and really having a hard time letting go of my concern over the consequences of this, I went to gratitude, which I do every day at noon and 6. And I intentionally decided not to address this and to focus on gratitude, to focus on the amazing beauty and love and friendships and opportunities and my privilege. And so as we're sharing things and people are sharing their beautiful stories of their life, we get joined by Alex. Alex is one of the individuals who was one of the drivers that picked up Anna and her family from the Polish border in Ukraine. Now, Alex is Ukrainian, but was living in Aachen, Germany, working. And so he got picked up by Richard, who came from Paris. The two of them went to the border, picked up Anna, and rescued her family. And then Alex went and rented a minivan and started shuttling people from the border. And then I just saw him post this last week that his family got out. His family was able to fly to Warsaw, where he was able to go pick them up. And he came today, the first time I'd seen him, and he said that his family is living with him now. They're with him in Aachen, Germany. And you know what he was grateful for?
Grateful that my brothers are alive and safe at the moment.
I broke. All of a sudden, everything just shifted in me, and I was like, oh my God. Can you imagine if that is what you were... And so I feel like this story about what happened in Hollywood last night is so much less important. And at the same time, I feel like trying to find ways to spread compassion and kindness in the world could never be more important. And justifying violence and justifying backsliding into a world where we accept the most human, the most animal and base human behavior. So I'm so grateful for Alex. I'm so grateful for everyone. I'm grateful for all the work that Will Smith has done throughout his life, and I'm just so sad that so much of it is erased now. I hope that there's outcomes of this that lead us to healing as a global community. I will say that, a lot of people are saying that Chris Rock crossed the line, and I'll say, award shows have been roasts for a long time, and I don't blame Chris Rock for bullying. We have been very okay with celebrity bullying. It's been part of the tradition of knocking people down a few pegs, whether you like it or not. There's a lot of ways that you could protest that. You could say, I'm not going to participate in this. You could say, I'm going to boycott this. You could have used the opportunity. When the camera panned to him, he could have mouthed the same words, like, how dare you, keep your wife's name out of my mouth. He could have said, we'll talk later, or I'm going to answer this later. He could have taken the many opportunities that he would have that night to speak his mind. He could have said, while he was on stage and when he was being interviewed hundreds of times over the next weeks, he could say, I condemn the actions of Chris Rock. He could say, we as a culture need to not laugh along with bullying. We need to hold our women in higher regard. We need to show respect to one another. We need to demonstrate the kind of behavior that he so beautifully has done in every other part of his life and in his book. Now, I know it's easy to say what he should have done, but if we're going to justify his behavior, I think we should also look for the ways that an apology and a recognition of what could have been a better response could be a teaching moment for us. I'm grateful for role models like Alex. I'm grateful that my brother and my family are alive. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to connect with you. I love you. Wherever you are, I urge you or ask you to join me in a hug. And in this this moment, let's connect on that place where our deep humanity overlaps, and all of us are seeking safety for our loved ones. We're seeking connection. We're seeking purpose. Each one of us is dealing with our traumas, and in that place, we all overlap. Even if our choices are different, even if our opinions are different, our allegiances are different. In this moment, let's remember that shared humanity beneath our actions, where all those that are on stage and the audience and all those around the world have this shared humanness. And in that place, let's connect. And let's take a deep breath in and squeeze and feel the world all squeezing you. Hold it. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and each one of you, beautiful spirits, thank you for being here for this Hug Nation hug.